Hey there, I'm Incomp. Today's skin is Kafuu Chino made by Louisiana. It's based on Kafuu Chino, some deadpan lolly character in the show called Is the Order a Rabbit. Her name is a reference to cappuccino. Anyway, this is a weeb skin, so take that for what it's worth. The background used for the top and bottom section is really cool, and it works very well with the character's color scheme. The song buttons have some blurry background with Chino's face overlaid on the right side. I like how it tries to separate the map background from the name and all, but that's really the only noteworthy thing about the song buttons. The bottom section is pretty good for the most part. The worst part about it is the hilarious overlap that the back button has over the personal record, like it's trying to suffocate my avatar. Hey there, I'm Incomp and I can't fucking breathe. Apart from that, the bottom section isn't bad. The mode button doesn't have an icon over it, and for some reason, when you click on it, you get some lolly ass. And now I'm on a list somewhere. The mode icons in the middle of the screen are skinned, but only with random pictures of Chino. The mod icons don't have any depth to them other than lolly face. The relax icon is the same one from the back button too. And why is there a space between the words of sudden death and double time, but not hard rock? I really like how the profile section was handled in this skin. Most skins leave a cutout for the profile, while this one at least tries to integrate it into the scene. For the past few reviews, I've been pretty critical of skins that don't attempt to integrate the lines above their back buttons into their ranking screens. While this skin doesn't do it perfectly, it's certainly a lot better than leaving a floating line, so props for that. The circle design and white outline of the grade letters keeps the back button from standing out as well. It's hard to tell the resolution of the numbers on the panel due to the heavy glow that they have, but even if they were standard reds, they look fine. However, the hit bursts are very small, and the 300s are missing. Last time I pointed this out, I got a comment saying that the ranking screen and gameplay use the same hit bursts. Here's how you get around that. If you have hit300.png and hit300.0.png, the ranking screen will use the former, while the gameplay will use the latter. Kafuu Chino actually does this, but it uses the same image for both, so it's kinda pointless. The panel itself is pretty good, very minimalistic design. There is a background here, but it's just a very transparent overlay to help ensure readability of the numbers. The big ol' anime in the middle of the screen is pretty obnoxious and doesn't need to be there. It also looks like her ears attached to her neck. The grades have little depth to them as well, using just an array of pictures of Chino and putting the grade letter on the corner so you actually know what you got. I feel like this skin took a huge tonal shift when I switched to the ranking screen. The last screen looked like it was designed to complement the character, and it did that very well. Here, it just looks like someone slapped some anime on a generic and minimalistic ranking screen. Okay, this is epic. I'm pretty sure that this skin is mixed, albeit to a small extent. I feel like I've seen the reverse arrows and the spinners somewhere else before, but I wasn't able to find where. However, the star 2 is a direct rip from Yugen. One thing that doesn't help is how the reverse arrows are at a lower resolution than the other elements of the skin, which doesn't look good. Apart from that, the gameplay elements are pretty generic but very easy to play with. The lack of identity with those is compensated for via the health part, the key input overlay, and the anime on the left side of the screen. Also on the left, there is a black box cropped out for the leaderboard, but that part of the UI is layered above the element used to show this playfield, so it's pretty superfluous and it looks awful if, like me, you turn off in-game leaderboards. The hit sounds are alright, drawing from a plethora of different familiar sets. The miss sound, however, tends to blend in with the music. Below the spinner, there is this RPM counter, and it looks bad. Really bad, like lower resolution and everything. The fail sound is pretty cool, but the pause loop is completely silent. The pause and fail screens are pretty much flipped versions of each other, with the main factor used to tell them apart being the absence of a continue button on the fail screen. The images used for these screens also vary in resolution, with the top image for the pause screen being very upscaled. It doesn't look like the buttons on these screens are horizontally centered on the black banner either. It's just really sloppy altogether.
I would prefer having the background completely black, but it's a neat concept. The notes and receptors deviate slightly from an orbital design, however during gameplay it is much different. I would suggest varying the two note colors more so that it would be an easier differentiator. Looking closer, the highlighting at the very bottom is solid. It lights up but is not at all distracting. And the judgments look pretty nice, especially the Rainbow 300. However, the gray and good judgment colors are incorrect compared to pretty much every other skin. Wait a minute, have I said this before? The judgments use a pixelated font and fit well with the gameplay, though the great and good judgments color should be swapped with each other since great normally is green and vice versa. Personally, I would prefer not to have the character to the right stare at me constantly as I play, but it does make sense. Also with the ranking screen, the great and bad judgments don't look stellar. They blend a lot with the ranking panel. It might be a bit nitpicky for me to give this a con, but it definitely could have been worked around. The skin works perfectly with keys 4 through 7, but anything outside that range and the skin breaks in admittedly pretty hilarious ways. I won't give it a con because it's clearly not meant for keys outside 4 to 7.
Song selection 3.5. The theme here is very strong. Unfortunately, the other aspects of the skin fail to uphold this standard. Ranking screen 1.5. The reason why I scored this so low is because of how uninspired the screen looks. I usually don't like using that term because, well, who am I to say if someone else was inspired or not when they made something, but it seriously looks like anime elements thrown on top of generic minimalistic elements. Gameplay 2.5. While the gameplay isn't hindered by much, it is completely average.
In terms of Mania gameplay, its aesthetic value is pretty high. I'd say the skin has earned a 3.5 from me.
Visuals get a 2 and playability gets a 4. What do you think of the skin? What do you think of my review? Let me know by leaving a comment. If you enjoyed the video, smash like. If you didn't, smash like. For more content, make sure you subscribe to PewDiePie. Other than that, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.